Recently, I published a video that I called Cooking for One. It was a test, it was an idea, and I got some positive feedback on it. People asked me to do more of these. The idea behind the video is that some of us, we either live alone, or maybe we're empty nesters. The kids are gone, they're in college, or they have families of their own. Now it's time to simplify and do some easier, economical meals for ourselves without a lot of effort. So I want to show you today my easy way of doing chicken. When I can, I try to buy chicken like this in an economy pack. This is a value pack, it says. Fresh, never frozen. This was on sale this week. It's normally $1.29 a pound. This was on sale for 79 cents a pound. So I paid only $4.80. That's less than 50 cents per chicken thigh. There are 10 of them in here, and these are big thighs. I can get 2 meals out of some of these thighs. But you know, if you eat chicken every other day, this isn't going to last 20 days in the refrigerator. Chicken goes bad after a few days. So let me show you how I prep this for saving it and for preparing some easy meals. What I've got is I've got a tray that I've lined with a piece of parchment paper. And this tray, it's like a quarter sheet. I believe they call this a quarter sheet. It's just big enough to fit in my freezer. And then I've lined a bowl with a piece of Ziploc bag because I'm going to save the trim. Pull one of these out. See, these are really big thighs. I'm on a keto diet, so I want the skin on for this one. Sometimes I buy boneless, skinless, whatever's on sale, because that's good economy. I'm going to debone these. This is a little bit of work. I don't recommend it. If you want to go really simple, buy boneless, skinless chicken pieces, whether they're thighs or breast pieces, whatever they might be. I like to have the trim because I make stock in the winter and use it for soup. I eat a lot of soup in the winter. Okay. Put that in my bowl. There's always an extra piece right down here that has to be removed. And some extra skin I can take off. I'll put that in my trim bowl. Now that is a big piece of chicken thigh. I'll trim that off as well. You need a really sharp knife, obviously. So, and then depending upon how fussy you are, there is a tendon in here that I sometimes will pull out. I don't know that it matters, but I get that pulled out. I'm going to cut this in half, and then I'm going to cut it in half again. So this now for me is 2 servings. Maybe even 3 if I feel like eating a small amount of chicken. And then I'm going to place these on my lined tray, and I want them with a little bit of space in between. About like so. And I'll do another one. So this thigh is a little bit smaller. I think I can get 3 pieces out of this, and again move those to my tray. When your tray gets full, like this is, just put another piece of parchment paper on top and then add another layer of chicken pieces. So I managed to get 6 of those thighs on this tray. I have 4 more to do. That'll be easier. There's less to do here. I'll put this in the refrigerator, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the freezer, just the way it is, and set a timer for 30 minutes. These have been in the freezer now for 30 minutes. I consider these to be like soft frozen. What I'm going to do is turn these over. I've got a lot of chicken here to freeze. And then I'm going to put these back in the freezer for maybe another 20 minutes to get these thoroughly frozen. That layer underneath still has quite a ways to go. So it might take like 2 2 or 3 more periods of time in the freezer before these are ready. These pieces now are frozen enough. I marked a bag, thigh strips, that's what I'm calling these. I put the date on there, July 8th. And you can see they're individually frozen. They're not rock hard frozen. That'll happen later, but they're ready to store as individually frozen pieces that'll be easy to cook later. Those two stuck together. And as a result, they're not frozen enough. So I'm going to do those afterwards. Okay, and how do these look? These look pretty good. So I'm going to take the better ones out. This one looks pretty good. And that one. And I'm going to put these pieces that aren't quite done yet. I'm going to put this stuff back in. These are a little bit soft. And continue the freezing of these pieces. You want to use a good Ziploc bag, and you don't want to keep these in the freezer for a long time unwrapped, because if you got a frost-free freezer like I have, that will dry out your chicken. So you get them in a good Ziploc bag. This goes in the freezer, this goes back in the freezer, and then meanwhile I'm going to do those other 4 pieces that I hadn't done yet, get those all frozen, and then when I come back, I will show you how I use these to make a simple dinner for myself. There is all my chicken. I managed to get that entire package of chicken in one Ziploc bag. These are pretty much frozen. They'll get harder once I put this in the freezer and leave it in there. I want to show you something else. This is what I have left over from the last batch that I did. This is dated May 9th. This has been sitting in the freezer. These are rock hard, but that's okay. I'm going to use them this way. I have one more thing to show you before I start cooking. I bought an ear of corn. I'm on a keto diet, and this isn't the best vegetable to eat on a keto. This, from what I saw on calorieking.com, has about 16 net grams of carbohydrates. So this isn't going to throw off my keto diet. You're allowed 30 to 35 net grams of carbs per day, depending upon which website you look at. All right, let's do some cooking. Got a little skillet heating on the stove. Going to put a little bit of cooking olive oil in there. This is pure olive oil, not extra virgin, which would burn. And then looking at my chicken here, which is frozen. I can cook this frozen. I'm going to put, I think 3 pieces in there because I have some small pieces here. 2 large ones or 3 small. I'm going to let that start going, and then I'll put a lid on it. And I'm going to cook these 5 minutes per side while these are cooking. For the first 5 minutes, I'll cook that ear of corn in the microwave for 5 minutes. Then I'll let that sit while I'm cooking these for the second side, 4 to 5 minutes. These are starting to go pretty well. I'm putting some seasoning on them. This is Old World Seasoning by Penzeys Spices. Any way you want to season your chicken, you can put salt and pepper. You can use spice herb rubs on them. That's just to season them while they cook. And because those are going well, I turned my heat all the way down to low. I don't need to cook those at a high temperature. So there's my chicken. 5 minutes per side was enough. I checked it with a meat thermometer. It is well above the minimum requirement for chicken. So well above 168, 170 degrees. And there is my ear of corn. So that's a really simple dinner. Again, these I used frozen. I cooked them in the pan frozen, but they cooked all the way through, 5 minutes per side. During the first 5 minutes, I was cooking this in the husk and then taking it out of the husk. And the second 5 minutes, this was resting. This is ready to eat. So there it is, a nice plate of food in under, well, about 10 minutes. Took about 10 minutes to do this. What did this cost? About $1. See, this is why I did all that prep work of sectioning all those pieces of chicken. It's easier if you use boneless chicken, boneless, skinless, you just cut them up. You don't have to deal with the bones. I like the bones because I can save those for stock later. But a very simple meal for 1 or 2 people if you need to cook for 2. Very economical. Didn't take a lot of time. I want to taste my chicken here. This should taste pretty good. I mean, whenever I want chicken, go to the freezer, pull out 2 or 3 of these frozen pieces. I can cook them frozen. And they still cook all the way through in about 10 minutes. That's good. That's fine. Just enough spice on there. So excuse me, I'm going to go enjoy a late lunch of my chicken with some corn.